I am Positively Kris Pace, and you are actively listening to Conversations with Kris.
My man, thanks for reaching out. I'm excited to talk to you. Please tell me and everyone else who you are and about your life, because there's no way I could figure out this story on my own. So I'm going to let you tell it.
Right. Well, I appreciate you having me on, Kris. My name is Ryan Kalish. I'm a former Major League Baseball player for the Boston Red Sox and Chicago Cubs. During my career, I experienced 14 orthopedic surgeries. And through that fight to continue, I won two World Series, one with the Red Sox, one with the Cubs. But the real story kind of begins after that. To get to know me, I had a spiritual awakening at 31 years old. I literally thought I became Jesus. I was tricked into a psych ward because, well, ultimately I wanted to save the world. And it was really hard to explain to people what was going on. It was even hard to explain it to me. And over the last 6 years, I've been working and trying to figure out how that fit into my life and how to use it. Obviously, I'm not Jesus, I'm Ryan. And
I'm glad to hear you
pretty,
came to terms with that.
yeah, and in speaking with a guy, Ben, you know, John 14:12 of the Bible, if you read it, it actually gives us permission to be Jesus and be better than Jesus. That's actually what he wanted for us. So in my current days, it's been about 2 months. I got this feeling inside of me to just do my best to do what I think he would be doing here on earth. So I was in the United States thinking I was about to move back to the States. And then I left for Egypt, and Jordan, and then back to Egypt and now in Thailand and heading to Uganda over the weekend, to where I just want to spend time with people who are suffering, people who need a spiritual lifting from somebody else. So cancer hospitals, you know, poor people, people who are hungry, people who don't have water, just kind of like learning, listening. I'm definitely donating money, but like I have to be quite smart and strategic right now, as I mean, I don't have the type of finances to just be tossing money around everywhere, but if I could, I certainly would. I'll tell you that right now. Like, so
Well,
that's me in
you're
a
offering
nutshell.
something far more valuable than money. And as somebody who's in a similar lifestyle, I just came back from India, spent a week in Bangladesh, went
Sure.
to Singapore, then Bali. And same type of thing. Like I don't even know anyone who's ever been to Bangladesh, but it's an incredible country. I was welcomed with open arms, and the way they treated me was just amazing. I taught the Bangladesh people on the beaches on the Bay of Bengal how to body surf. And there's probably right now, Ben said I probably started a revolution. There's probably a Bangladesh body surfing team happening right now. So maybe we'll bring that into play. But yeah, what you're giving is far better than money, because money isn't what they really need. What they need is the knowledge and information that we have about how to make money and how to also create a happier lifestyle. But I'll tell you what, I feel like when I go to these places, I don't know about you, I'm the one that actually is the one being given the gifts. Like I leave there changed in ways that I never thought I could ever be changed. And then after 50 countries, I genuinely can say that I take away far more than I give. And I leave everything I take wherever I go. I don't bring anything back because that's just silly. We have excess here. So I think what you're doing is absolutely incredible. By the way, you said two World Series rings?
I did. Yeah. Yeah.
Two.
Yeah.
Man, you are blinging, bro. That is amazing. And did I read that you were drafted out of high school?
I was, yes. I've never stepped foot in a university. I was lucky enough to be wanted at a very young age to play professional baseball. So it was, the two World Series rings mixed with the 14 surgeries, it taught me a resilience. And they weren't like little surgeries, man. I mean, I had some crazy
Yes.
ones, and like, I'm just, in the moment when I was retiring, it really messed with my mental health. But in the long run, I'm like, wow, like there is no other baseball player who had that many surgeries as far as I know. and
You're like, I set a
not,
record in baseball.
yeah, like, well,
Most
so
surgeries.
I would say, yeah. So there's only four people in the history of baseball with the two rings that I have. It's a Chicago Cubs and Red Sox ring, predominantly because both teams were not so good for a very long time.
Was that the
Um,
Cubs World Series that like ended the
yeah, yeah,
70s?
yeah.
I'm not a baseball fan or follower, but I know that was a big deal. Like there was like the curse of the Cubs, right? And so you were part of the team that broke that?
I was. I had 12 games. They were very limping games. My right knee was in turmoil already, but I had played well enough and they needed like a spot player for 12 days. So I got 12 days. I was 2 for 7. I had a go ahead, I had a go ahead hit in one of the games. And man, it's a small piece of it, but like now looking back, like it's probably a much bigger ripple than
Yeah.
anyone could see energetically. So I'm cool with it, man.
So tell me, let's tell everybody about how you got started into baseball and when you began this whole thing. Because, I mean, at 18 years old to be drafted by the MLB is very rare, right? That's not like a common thing. Like you were a stud coming out of high school. So tell us how you got to that point. I mean, did you start out at 3 years old just tossing the ball with your dad, and the next thing you know, you were throwing 60-mile-an-hour heaters at 10? And I don't know. Well, I mean, like, what's the process that goes through somebody getting to that skill level to where someone's willing to sign you on a multi-million-dollar contract out of high school? I know what I was like when I came out of high school. And that seems like a lot of pressure and a lot of intense stuff.
So when I was 5, I was given a Nerf bat, and that was it. Like, honestly, I couldn't remember anything else from 5 until 30, the length of my career. But what I can say, and I say this to myself all the time with my new ventures, is what am I doing when nobody's watching?
Mhm.
Like, I mean, I'm even talking about what am I like back then before social media, before anything, like it was like, okay, I have practice at 3 p.m., but I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and take 100 swings before I go to school just so I know I have the edge on everyone else. And that was kind of something bizarre that I had within me from a very, very young age. I remember that really started come high school. And in high school, I didn't play anything but varsity. And it was like kind of this, I didn't tell anyone. I knew that that's how it was going to go, but I kind of knew that was what was going to happen. And yeah, man, I mean, well, the thing about baseball is it's definitely not super common to be drafted out of high school, but it's more common than other sports because in baseball, there's 6 different levels before you actually make it to the big league. So you have to like prove
Oh,
yourself.
wow.
So I was 18, and by the time I was 22, I had made it through those levels, and I was playing for the Red Sox, which is the same age as a college kid coming out of college. So I definitely like had what it took. I had the mindset, I had the skill set. I just didn't have the health long term. That was the problem.
Well, and you knew exactly what you wanted and where you were going, so you didn't get sidetracked by anything. You were stayed the course, and obviously knew in high school you were going to be a varsity player for 4 years. Coming out of high school, when they offered you the opportunity to go through the 6 levels, really?
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah.
incredible. I didn't know there was that many steps to it. I thought it was like a minor league and then the major league.
Minor league 6 levels and then majors.
And so each time you got promoted, was it like it's based on performance, obviously, but is there some sort of like um, statistical process, or is it just kind of like the coaches are like, oh, this guy's ready to move up, he's ready to move up, or do they skip you through steps, or is it just direct to the MLBs ever?
It's rare. No, it's never direct to the MLB. Even like Ken Griffey Jr. played like a few months in minor leagues, but it depends on a few things, statistics, size of investment. If they, I got invested 600,000 in me as a high school athlete. That's like kind of how they get you to skip college. And so I had like
It's tough
second
that
round, I
far.
was a second round money guy. So like I had a push to me, but actually, man, they slowed me down a little bit, which was good. I think they could have pushed me even faster, but it's statistics, it's mindset, it's coaches' vibes, but rarely do you see a guy get promoted if he's not playing well. I mean, It's rare,
Yeah.
rare, rare.
It's performance. And what position did you play?
I was mostly center field and right field.
Nice. Nice. So
Yeah,
you're a hitter. You're basically just a
sure. I
hitter,
was
which
I
they
was
told me
good, man.
when I was a kid, if I played a little bit of baseball as a child, but they told me if you want to make it, just pick up a bat and hit balls all day. It doesn't matter anything else. They'll find a position for you if you can hit.
Yeah, if you can hit, man, if you can hit, you got a shot. Like they'll
It's
figure it out.
incredible. So in your
Yeah,
pro career, how many home runs you hit?
four. Well,
Four.
I mean, in the major leagues, in my
And
pro
yeah,
career, in my like, because like it's all professional. There's minors and big
yeah.
leagues.
Well,
We'll talk big league.
600K out of high school, I think that puts you in a pro category.
Yeah,
And somebody offered you that as a contract for a job, you'd say, I'm a pro.
I mean, I would say overall about 100, but in the big leagues, which really is what counts, I hit four of them, two of which were grand slams. Um, yeah, I mean, man, I was on a good pace. It was
Any solid famous pitchers that you hit one against?
Jared Weaver, um,
Ah.
Javier Vasquez. Who else? Well, you know what was my favorite? I'm 1 for 2 lifetime off of Mariano Rivera.
I love that.
That one is like my
You're
ultimate.
like, that's gonna go on my baseball card.
Okay, so ready? I'll tell you this. I got a base hit. We were down 4-3 in the ninth. I hit the single. I stole second. I stole third right away. And then the next guy hit a base hit, and I technically gave him a blown save. And there's
Wow.
not too many
That's
people who can say that.
no, that's a pretty incredible
Yeah,
statistic.
yeah,
And it's also a memory that you have that is like invaluable, like what a cool story. Like that's
yeah, yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
That's nobody gets to do that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden the injuries came because obviously 14 of them means it wasn't happening all at one time. And as I watched a little video clip about you, I noticed that, a lot of the things that they were doing to your body and to your mind over a period of time was causing you more issues and making you have more surgeries and more things go on. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a combination of things. I'm not really positive the care was, I mean, the care was pretty good, but I was never really taught a sweet mobility program until like surgery 11. But it was almost like I was like a Ferrari without anyone mechanically doing anything on me. And by the time things kind of started, it was too late. Like I kind of just deteriorated. And then, to be honest, as well, um, at the time I was smoking a little bit of marijuana. I wish I had never gotten into that prior to my career or during my career. And then, mentally speaking, once I had like 5 or 7 of them, I was like, almost maybe talking myself into more of them because I was just like, oh, here's a new pain. I'm
Yeah.
screwed. Let's have another
Yep.
surgery. And
Yep.
so it's kind of hard to make out exactly what happened, but it's kind of like what we were talking about before the podcast. And I don't know if you feel like this, but man, I feel like I thought I had a messy, weird life. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait, did I even have a choice at all? Was that how it was always supposed to go? So whatever,
That's
you know,
exactly how I feel. I don't feel like I've chosen. My life has been nothing but a struggle,
sure,
and obstacles and challenges and pain and suffering. And there was days, so many times where I was like, why in the world would anyone be born that has to go through this amount of suffering and pain? And now looking back, I realized that all it was training and preparation for what I had to do in the world, which is
sure.
now obviously coming to light and the things are starting to happen. And that's how we connected. And there's so many other amazing people. And now I understand that, like, I've been taught the patience and understanding and the skill set of yoga and meditation to be able to evaluate my body and my mind to decide whether or not I want to have a surgery. They would love to operate on me at least 3 times right now, on my neck, my back, and potentially my brain. Um, but I just refuse to go down that path yet. Like I'm gonna work my hardest to maintain core strength, continue to just see therapists and see people that have knowledge of these things, and see what I can do first because I think once you cut into the body, it never goes back to the same, you know. So I like to minimize that, especially when we're talking about brain surgery.
Yeah, yeah, man. I mean, it sounds like you're doing a lot of really good stuff for yourself, and obviously the yoga career, talking to me, it sounds like you're defying some odds at the moment. So let's keep that up.
Absolutely, absolutely. I just released a cane today. It's called the Patriot Cane on Instagram, and it's for veterans that I designed. And I've been using a cane for many years due to my vertigo and a number of other things. But yeah, I'm definitely defying the odds. I'm definitely not taking the easy route, I guess you could say, of surgery and then surgery, surgery, surgery. Uh, they all want to operate, but I'm also like, there's got to be other ways, you know? And so kind of taking off of what you said, you know, once you went through all those experiences, you realized that you didn't really have a choice and that that was your destiny to go through that. But also, it was your destiny to win 2 World Series. And now you found a transformation into a life of being a servant for other people and giving people hope, inspiring them, creating a sense of community around the world. And that's exactly what I believe in and exactly what I think is going to change the world. So tell us about the transition over and how that all happened. I mean, after you found out you weren't Jesus, were you disappointed? Oh, by the way, I wanted to point out something too. In the Bible, it says God is love, period, right? So if that's the case, then love is God.
Yeah.
Meaning, if every decision you make and every day you live is lived out of love, not out of fear, then you're living a godlike life. And we are created in his image. So, therefore, as you said earlier, it's not sacrilege to say that you are a part of God because we are. We are created in his image and we live a life of love. Therefore, what would Jesus do? He'd do exactly what you're doing right now.
Yeah. That's pretty much where it's at. And I think what happened, because so after well, first I had a battle of feeling suicidal post baseball. Then I started the Pilates degree and I started to feel better. And then I had previously messed around with psychedelics. I got my hands on quite a bit of LSD and I was doing it like every weekend for a while. And long story short, yeah, man, I had this connection to the character of Jesus where it came into me so fast and so abrupt through, of course, I was awakening with the LSD, but it happened way too fast. And it just like broke my old self down. The next thing you know, I'm trying to convince other people that I thought I was Jesus. And long story short, my friend, who still is my friend, and everything happens for you, he tricked me into a mental hospital in San Francisco, which at the time was very confusing. All of a sudden, I'm like, I was literally just talking about saving the world. Maybe I was spending a little too much money, but I wasn't a harm to myself or others. And the next thing I know, I find myself with two roommates. They're checking all night through the night, making sure no one's killing themselves. And I'm like, wait, what's going on here?
Oh,
So,
no.
yeah, man, I
Maybe
mean, it was
maybe
like,
your concept was right. Your methodology of conveying it was a little off.
sure,
And for
that's what,
sure, people who are not enlightened or awakened are not going to understand what you were trying to say. And not so much that I am the Christ, but more so that I want to live like Jesus. And that's probably where the breakdown happened because obviously you're not insane. You know, just from the short conversation we've had. But on top of that, like I can completely understand how your friends could have gotten concerned if they
sure.
aren't sure or aware of what someone sounds like and looks like when they go through that transformation of learning about who they are and what they are, as opposed to just being this, you know, human NPC on Earth. We're not. We're something very, very special. And you know, as you learn that, you get kind of judged by everyone around you. And of course, you lose a lot of friends because those people weren't meant to transition with you, but you also gain new people. So that's the good thing about it. And, you know, those people are on the same frequency. They understand you, they get the whole thing. So they don't consider, they're not going to lock you up.
Sure. Exactly. So there's so many details about that story, like really bizarre ones. even mildly some that remind me of biblical parallels. Like I'll just give you a short one. Like I was after this psych ward, I was at my parents' house trying to explain it to them as well. I put out this GoFundMe. I thought the world would just donate a bunch of money and we could save the world and change the flow of money in the system. I thought the CIA was controlling things. My mom, I was going a little bit nuts. I mean, I was still on the marijuana, but my mom calls the police on me. I go running away from them out on a golf course. I take off my shirt and my shoes. I go on like this massive rant to the world, like, everybody wake up, you're sleeping. Everyone, you're sleeping. And then I kept running and I go through a golf course, like the fairway, and I jump through these bushes. Turns out they're all thorn bushes. So like thorn crown, thorn bushes. Like there's like a few weird like
Yeah,
things
yeah,
inside of there. And again, it's not that I'm Jesus, but I feel that the story given to me was given to me in a way so that it would be so deeply ingrained in me to forget about like, yeah, like, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of good theory about what Christ consciousness is, and it's all amazing, but at some point it's just words, and then it's like, okay, how to actually do it. And I think I was put through so much of this weird story that recently I realized like some of the stuff I see online, it was making me mad, but it was just me being mad at myself for not having
right.
actually been doing it just yet. And so like now I'm finally living it, like the stories. I mean, man, I was just like, I'm in Palestine. I mean, not Palestine. I'm in Egypt hanging out with Palestinians. I'm in Jordan hanging out with Middle Eastern students. And like, I'm putting myself in these positions with people that are suffering and places an American, technically with Jewish heritage, normally doesn't end up.
Right.
And like I'm hearing the stories of people that it's almost, yeah, I'm just like, I just want to live like I think Jesus was living. And I think I had this long, crazy story to make me actually do it
Yeah.
because it just was something was wrong inside of me, like my soul. And maybe I was given a piece of Jesus's soul. I don't know. But now that I'm doing the life and I'm there and I'm going to Uganda and I'm going to Egypt again and then another part of Africa and then like probably Pakistan and India, like, and who knows, like I'm just warming up here. I'm finally feeling like really, really good. I'm enjoying I'm actually enjoying social media for the first time in my life because it's like I'm actually being who I was always meant to be.
Right.
And that's
And
it.
finding out that there's other people out there that understand what you're doing and respect it, appreciate it, acknowledge it. Now, the masses will never be that way, just as Christ wasn't accepted by the masses. And no great leader who's ever gone before us, anyone who's ever made an impact on the world, ever was accepted by the masses. So it kind of comes with isolation. It comes with having to be separated from everyone else. And that's unfortunate because sometimes it's friends and family that you really care about, but you just can't take everyone on your journey. Your journey is designed for you, and you're on a journey that's way beyond what most people could comprehend. Statistically speaking, I think it's like 14% of Americans have been to more than three countries in their life. Like it's a small number of people that travel outside the US ever, let alone go to, like you said, to countries that we're going to where, everything that you can look up on the internet says do not go to Bangladesh is 100% Muslim, not for Americans. And I walked in there and had the best week of my life with the most amazing people. And I was forever changed by the love and the support and the heart that these people had. They don't have any money, but they do have everything else. And so I consider them to be the richest people I've met, but yet giving money to the school, donating money to the school that was going to help so many children to have a better education, and to be able to meet these people and just to see their smiles and the way they live and the way they come together and their kindness. I mean, it was just wow, life changing, man. And then I come back to the States and I'm always like, But I love the US because this is the country I fought for and I believe in, and I think it's an amazing place. I just don't know that it's conducive to the way that we live our lives. And sometimes we have to go on these sabbaticals and these retreats, and hopefully you're documentary and all, because that's going to be a fantastic story. And social media is a great way to get stuff out to people. But I think, what you're doing is absolutely incredible and will definitely be what you're known for more than the two World Series and more than your Major League Baseball record of 14 surgeries.
Me too, man. That's what I feel. I feel like this is always who I was meant to be. And like, dude, the stuff that you're saying, it's like this is like for me, when you come to a place in a mutual respect way, you just start learning so much from people. And what you said about the people in Bangladesh or the people I'm meeting in Egypt, and just like these sort of experiences, you don't, I'm sorry, but if, in my opinion, respectfully, if you're listening to American news and American news alone, you don't really know about the world.
Nothing.
It's not at all what they're telling you. I mean, it's it's
It's
complete. Yeah, it's really hard for me. Like recently, with what's going on with the Middle East, and like you just mentioned, Muslims, I feel a big calling to try and be like a bridge builder between the Muslim world and America because, and I actually, this is the podcast. Maybe you're supposed to ask the questions, but I'm curious. Like, you know, I don't know where you fought at all. I have my feelings about 9/11 and what maybe or maybe didn't happen in this moment, but I feel like they've been dividing us and liking Americans to just support all things happening in the Middle East. And like for me, going to the Middle East and being accepted into people's homes and listening to regular people, how they just want peace, love, and unity with us, I'm just like, man, something's off.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. There's certainly a plan by somebody to keep Americans in America. And I think it's a couple of reasons. I think they don't want people to know that it's safe and that you're going to be embraced and loved by these Muslims or by whatever religion it is. They also don't want you to go spend your money in other countries. They want it to stay here. So it's kind of like I think there's a couple parts to that. And again, the perspective, like you said, if you just watch the news and you don't travel, you can't really know what the real world is like until you go experience it. And if you don't go experience it, the illusion that you live with as to how things are outside the United States. I have people all the time try to tell me how things are overseas. And I'm like, so you've been there? And they're like, well, no, I just read a lot of stuff and hear a lot. I'm like, well, I spent a month there and it was the most amazing time I've ever had in my life. And everyone was kind and loving and caring and protective. And the religion isn't important if you're a loving creature. And if you're just somebody who's, I mean, anywhere you go, if you act like a dick, you're basically going to get treated poorly, but that's
Yeah,
just like, don't be that way. So if you walk around, and I probably took 1,000 selfies with the Bangladesh people because they had never seen an American before. And
mm,
I don't know if you know this, but in Bangladesh, alcohol is illegal. So there's no alcohol, which makes for a very peaceful environment when no one's drinking. They also don't have tattoos, which obviously I'm covered. So here's this bald, tattooed guy walking around who they've never seen an American before because nobody goes there on vacation. And
yeah,
so
yeah,
they're
yeah,
all taking pictures with me. And I mean, just the kindest, just most sincere people. They were just absolutely rolled out the red carpet in every way, shape, and form. As did India. India was the same. They just gentle, loving, peaceful creatures, and they're more shocked and in awe of us because we are different, and they
yeah,
want to say, "I've seen an American," like we're like a rare breed of human. And it's like, okay, you want to take a selfie? Of course, I'll take a selfie with you. And I mean, I don't even know. I'm not kidding when I say it was probably 1,000 selfies, and it was just them coming up to me, going, "Can I take a picture with you? I've never met an American. I've never met an American. I've never met." And I'm thinking to myself, "Wow, how divided is this world?" That this country, who, by the way, India, Pakistan, and China is half the world's population,
yeah.
or Bangladesh and China. So, I mean, half of the world lives in that one little circle, and the other half of the population lives all over the world. Well, we know very little, and very few people go experience that half of the world's population, which to me, I went to three different cities in Bangladesh, even caught a domestic flight to go down to Cox's Bazar, which is like the South Beach of Bangladesh. Um, and I mean, it was just absolutely no issues. Everything was smooth, everything was streamlined. It was incredible. I mean, I can't travel in the US like that without any issues, you know? So it was just beautiful. And like you said, I think there is some sort of work at play, trying to keep Americans in America and trying to form their mindset and opinion of what is out there to be dangerous and hurtful. And I got to believe, man, that 10% of all people are going to be bad. You know, there's going to be bad, evil people. That's the balance, the duality of nature, right? You got to have good, you got to have evil. You got to have hot, you got to have cold. So I think that that goes for anywhere. Of course, there's going to be gangs, and of course, there's going to be, you know, different things like that. But again, it's an isolated pocket of people that get the attention. But the rest of the country, man, I still talk to so many people. You know how you know you're global is when you're only ever on WhatsApp. You never communicate with anybody on text message because all my friends are in other countries. So,
Yeah, I have so many theories about everything, but it feels like if there are, unfortunately, and it feels like if 10% of the world is evil, it seems like somehow those guys get power. At least, or maybe it's just the other way I've been thinking about it. It's like it's just a part of the DNA from thousands of years. I mean, listen, if you know the because obviously Muslims think Jesus ascended out of earth, so they don't believe in the crucifixion. I've heard some other theories lately, but if Jesus was crucified, why did he get crucified? Obviously, or not obviously, it feels like he was going against the mainstream flow of things, and they killed him for it. And then they hijacked his message and made the most amazing business model to ever live out of it. So for me, it's like, I have hope that there's like some sort of way out of the evil, but maybe it's just not there. But yeah, I mean, in the end, what I
I'll tell you my theory on that. So here's my theory. One truly giving, loving, caring human offsets a million evil people.
mm,
And when that one person comes together with another person who's a loving, caring person, now you just exponentially multiplied the power of what they're capable of. So I believe that God has separated and scattered throughout the earth people like you and I who are on that right wavelength to combat the amount of evil that there is in the world. But I do think that you're right. I mean, there's constantly a battle between good and evil happening within each of us all the time. We always have to choose whether we're going to live in love or whether we're going to live in fear. And like you said earlier, what you do when no one's looking is what defines who you are. And for me, I know that I always make the choice of choosing a path of love. And as long as
mm.
I do that, then I can reflect each day, meditate on it, and know that I did everything exactly as I should have, and I wouldn't change a thing because everything I did was exactly as what I felt was the most loving way to handle a situation. And that message is what we all need to kind of share is that, you know what? Each day, I can honestly tell you, I live exactly the way that I am perceived to live. Never really wanted to become anyone to change the world or be a part of that kind of thing. That was never a design idea, but I don't believe we choose our destinies either. I believe our destinies are chosen for us, and there's certainly way more reasons for me not to be here right now than there are to be here. And the amount of friends I've lost, the amount of things I've had to go through, the struggles, like you said, has taught me a lot about the fact that I have a purpose, and that purpose is a design that I don't need to understand. I just have to accept it and allow it to happen.
Yeah, and for me, it's like as much as I feel like I've suffered, when I look at a place like Gaza or Africa, and I wake up and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna fight for these people. Like, not like fight in a way to like yell and scream and shout, but spend time there, put a spotlight on them, learn about what they're going through, learn about their feelings and thoughts and stuff. And man, like I'm going to Uganda this week, but like going back to this experience in Egypt with people who had just recently been outside, just gotten out of Gaza, experienced the bombs at close range. And, I just don't feel like what's happening there is okay. And we don't need to really get into the theories. But like the kids give, like, I'm meeting these kids, and I can feel their anger. They know that I'm an American and that I have some Jewish heritage. And I can feel they're angry, not really with me, but with the situation overall. And it was a mental health clinic. They let me speak to the kid for like 40 minutes with the parents, with the translator. And by the end of this meeting, we gave like a 30-second bro hug between a child and an American. And then the next day, I'm getting served coffee and by like other families in town. And it's like, it's just most people that we kind of are told don't want unity, they actually just want unity. They want peace. They want to learn about us and they want us to learn about them. And yeah, it's just, I think, like you said, our destinies have been chosen. I think it's time to break through these old stories.
Yeah, I agree. And also the other thing that you don't think about is like, for me, those people that I was around in Bangladesh have never met an American. So only thing they know about us is that we're violent, we're crazy, we're war hungry, we're greedy, we're consumers, because Bangladesh manufactures almost all the clothes and everything else here. And so, their perspective on me was probably when they saw me like, is this guy okay to be here? More of like a precautionary, there's an American, we know how those guys are, but they still did not treat me that way. They still openly embraced me. They hugged me. I did the same thing with kids at the school. I handed out candy to all the children, took this beautiful group picture with all these people. It was just life changing because it makes an impact on all of them as well to meet an American and them to realize that not all Americans are war hungry, crazy, greedy, money. You know what I mean? Like they got to experience someone who genuinely loves them, cares about them, and couldn't care less what religion they practice. Just want them to be good people and want them to be happy. And the gratitude, which to me is essential in life. Grateful for everything that's ever happened to you is the key to loving yourself truly. Because if you don't become grateful for everything, you can't say you love who you are. And their gratitude is absolutely beyond what we have. The things that were said to me, I would like to serve you for the rest of my
Mm.
life. No, I want you to be my friend. I want you to be my family. Like there's no serving me. It's I
Yeah.
care about you like a brother, like and truly talk to him every day. And it's beautiful because the language barrier is so much easier now with Google Translate and Google View and all that kind of stuff, as I'm sure you're experiencing. So we have tools now to be able to communicate with these people. But again, half the world's population in 3 countries. So that's a lot of people that are never getting seen or heard that really have a story to tell. They've got things that need to be shared. So it's kudos to you for getting out there and being willing to take the chance because I know that, in people's minds, it is a risky thing. But I'll be honest, it's not as risky as people think it is. I've had nothing but good experiences from all the countries that I've been to, and only place I've ever had issues is here.
Yeah. I mean, man, yeah, I appreciate the kudos. I feel finally like I'm living for something that I would die for. And I definitely, in the long term of this, I mean, I'm like kind of most people. I do want to be seen and heard. I would love to have a voice. Um, Again, I don't like to use it against the system, but I guess in some ways it kind of is. But I guess in like a frequency speaking, kind of like some of the great leaders from the past who were taken down because they kind of inspired people to understand they had more power within them than they actually thought they did. And that's where I'm headed. That's what drives me. I was telling my wife earlier today, like when I'm in a conversation with someone that really I can feel they care about leaving the world behind a better place when they die, that is like when I'm the most soulful. That's when I'm the most alive. And that's when like I'm just lighting up, like, I mean, just so like when I'm having this conversation with you, I like have no anxiety. I feel peaceful. I feel great. And I'm just like, all right, sweet. There's another one. And it's continuing to happen more and more and more, no matter where I go. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar at all with the guy, the president from Burkina Faso. His name is Ibrahim Traore. Man,
Okay.
you got to look him up. He's probably the one of the few leaders in our world, presidents that like he doesn't care about his pockets. He doesn't care about money. He cares about his people. And like there are people trying to take him out right now. And I'm actually going there in a month.
Nice.
I met the translator from the embassy in Egypt. I just showed up, man. I was like, I just love your president, and I just want to like talk to you guys and help where I can. And so I'm gonna take him with me because it's a French speaking country. It'll definitely, if there is a situation, because quite honestly, Americans there, some people are a little
Yeah.
nervous about
Leary.
us trying to like do something to him. And so having him as a buffer, but like, man, I just really want to leave the world differently than it is right now because sometimes, I mean, I'm all over the news. I'm all over what's going on, and I find the deepness beyond what most countries are kind of letting through to their citizens. And like I just can't handle it. I gotta do something about this.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it's to me the way I look at it too is every time I walk into a country where they say there's the potential for harm, I'm like, if it's going to be that way, then it's going to be that way. But at least I went out living my life in a way of love and supporting other people and being there for other people. And I was willing to take the chance, on something that I believe so strongly in my heart that I'm willing to die for it if
Yeah,
that's what it takes. And I mean, I landed in India right as Pakistan closed the airspace and they
sure.
started the whole conflict that they had. So, I mean, I was literally in that was considered a war zone at the time. The Pakistan pulled out their people from the embassy, but the Indian people were just nothing but kindness, nothing but love, nothing but peace. And I don't know the details, nor do I want to, of what was going on or why or how. Because to me, right now, it's my job to just simply live as the best human I can and be the example of what you could be if you just choose to love on people and forgive people and let things go, not be so caught up in fairness and equality and all that kind of other stuff. Plus, any label you put on anybody is another level of division. So to me, I only see us all as human beings, and that way there's no division. We're not, we don't have a nationality, we don't have a sex, we don't have a race, we don't have a color, we don't have because each time you do that, you're dividing again, and the more divided we are, the weaker we are. The strong people, the communities that come together, that are all united. Now that's strong. That's why the United States of America is so strong because we're in a united country and looking like we're coming back to that. The patriotic support right now, the push for health and wellness, the methodology that's going on to bring healthy living back to people and good information to people is changing America. And God bless Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and all these other people that have risked their lives to make a difference in the world. And I think that they deserve all the credit, and also the people like us that are building stuff for the veteran community and for those people that need to step up and be able to be helped out. I think there's going to be a real big place for us as well. And then there's also the global people that have contacts and connections and friends, like you just said, who are very important people, but they're also ambassadors of love. And that's really kind of the whole key is just finding the people who are filled with love. Everything else falls into place after that. But if you surround people with that, it's infectious. It grows. So I think it's admirable and honorable what you're doing. You could be sitting back and chilling, enjoying life, probably living a pretty good life too. Two World Series rings, signing some baseball cards, doing some whatever. But you chose a different path and one that's going to make a difference in the world. And, you know, for all that it's worth, you should be proud of yourself, and you should make sure you recognize your efforts every single day and acknowledge that what you're doing is something that's different than everyone else. It's going to feel lonely at times. It's going to feel like you don't have anyone, but you do. You always got me, you always got the crew, and we're all standing by in case, you need a good, healthy conversation to remind you that you're different and that you are making a difference. And that's kind of what has been my biggest lesson is that I lost all my close local friends and family and everyone else because they weren't meant to be on the journey with me. But I've also gained all these people worldwide that would embrace me in a heartbeat on any moment. If I need them, they check in on me every day throughout the day. And that's something to me that's a very cool thing. Like, I really feel blessed that I get to have these international friends who are just absolutely the best of friends you could ever ask for. And they're all over the world. So it's like whatever country I want to go to, I just make a phone call. Someone's picking me up from the airport, taking me back to their house, and I'm going to have a great time. And I'm sure it's kind of the same for you now. You've established these connections and stuff. And so now it's like, and then as we share our connections, we create new avenues for people to be able to go and experience what we're talking about. And so we'll talk more too on some project stuff, no doubt. I've got some ideas and some things that I'm working on that you might be interested in over there. But also over here, we've got stuff we're working on too that's coming up. Yeah.
Amazing, man. Well, I appreciate the chat. It wasn't just a podcast, it was a bit of therapy for me. I was maybe watching a little too much stuff on Instagram about the war in Gaza and like just like, oh, what can I do? And it's like it's not about I know it's like sometimes I'm like, I need to do something drastic, but it's not always about that. It's about these conversations. We put it out online, the ripple goes out, somebody's life gets affected, and we just keep churning up every day. And long term, I think we're gonna. I hope and I feel that I said to my wife tonight, we're reading my daughter a book. All right. And we're reading her this book. And I said, I hope by my lifetime's over, for the most part, kids can just do this. You know, these wars will end. I mean, it might be a big goal, and I
Huh.
know it is, but I
I
feel
don't
like it's
think so.
possible, man.
I
I feel
don't
like
think
it's
there's
possible.
if you can win two World Series, get drafted out of high school, go through 14 surgeries, go to a psych ward, and then come out of all that with a heart to give and to help, I would say everything's possible and anything's possible. And I have huge goals, not that are mine, but that I believe have been given to me to accomplish. And, ending veteran suicide completely has been a big thing, which is what my nonprofit is built for. And now it's all coming together with a group of people that are all about the same thing. The child abductions and that type of thing. But also now building and establishing places overseas where we can help those people have
Sure.
better lives in their countries. And, as we talked about earlier, being the only American that these people have ever seen, I now am the example of what Americans are like. And so now
Hmm.
all the people that I took selfies with, everyone that I met over there, they only see Americans like me, which is
Hmm.
like one reason I'm like, all right, maybe I shouldn't promote to Americans to go to Bangladesh because, they might get some bad experiences too from some people. And we don't want to taint or we don't want to harm the country because it's so beautiful and peaceful. It's like, okay, let's just keep, but then it's at the same time, it's like, no, you can't really, I don't know how to, I know that the right way will come, but like you said, man, the ripple effect of what we're doing, it's done out of love. It's going to reach people forever. That ripple never stops. And as long as we continue to make small differences, even the smallest of differences, it could have the longest and biggest effect on so many people without us even knowing it. And that's the part that I really love is that, what we're doing, we'll never see the benefits of it because it'll probably last, hundreds of years on beyond our life. But it might change the world, like you said, for a better place to where our children and our children's children will live in peace and harmony with each other. And it may just come from the simple act of us showing kindness and love in other countries. It may just come from having one nonprofit organization that makes a difference for veterans. There's just the simplest little things that we can do, but always never discount your efforts. Just make sure it's always done out of love, and you don't need to hit a home run, brother, or win a World Series. You've already done that. So now you need to keep making a little bit of a difference here and a little bit of difference here. And it's like creating a garden, right? You're putting the seeds out. And at some point they're going to grow. And when they do, you don't need the credit. You don't need to be acknowledged. You don't need to be to everybody knows who's it matters what you did and, and why you did it. And that's what's important. So I'm glad that this was helpful for you. It certainly was awesome to have a conversation with you. No doubt we're going to do a bunch more of this. But thank you much for being on the show and sharing your story. Keep doing what you're doing, brother. Ryan, nothing but love.
Yes.
Nothing but love. Namaste. Have a wonderful day, bro.
Yeah, you too, brother.